Golf in the late 2000s was defined by one dominant name: Anthony Kim. He wasn't just good, he was the best. A flashy player with a bold attitude, unafraid to speak his mind, Kim was impossible to ignore. He won tournaments, starred in the Ryder Cup, and seemed destined for greatness. Then, as quickly as he rose the ranks, he vanished. No farewell, no explanation, just silence. That silence lasted 12 years. For more than a decade, golfers around the world have asked the same question: what happened to Anthony Kim? Well, to find out, we have to go back to the beginning. Anthony Ha-Jin Kim was born on June 19, 1985 in Los Angeles, California, to Korean-American parents Paul and Miriam Kim. His mother was supportive, but his father, Paul, was a different story. Known for his demanding nature, Paul set expectations for his son that Anthony would later describe as nothing short of brutal. And if there's one thing we've learned from the stories of great athletes, is that these early challenges can sometimes mold and inspire players. By the age of 9, Kim was already showing promise. He'd get dropped off at the local golf course with just $10 for lunch, and Anthony wasn't the kind of kid his parents had to worry about. He came to the course to work on his game and was extremely serious about it. As he practiced next to great players, refined his game, and then headed to the putting green, where he used his lunch money to hustle other golfers. By the time Kim turned 16, there was no mistaking that there was something special here. In fact, his family even decided at this point that Kim had a potential golf career worth pursuing. They packed up everything they owned and moved from Los Angeles to La Quinta in California. While this move was only 130 miles, the lifestyles were entirely different. La Quinta was home to 6 world-class courses and practice facilities, giving Kim the tools to take his game to the next level, which is exactly what he did. After settling in La Quinta, California, Anthony Kim attended La Quinta High School, where he continued to develop his golfing skills and competed on the school's golf team. His performance caught the attention of the University of Oklahoma's golf coaches, and soon after, Kim was recruited to play at the University of Oklahoma. As a Sooner, Kim set the school record for the lowest career scoring average in relation to par, and in 2004, Kim won the Northeast Amateur Tournament, which meant that Kim was now a big name in amateur golf. In fact, he was honored as the NCAA Freshman of the Year that same year. That performance in 2004 helped him earn a spot on the United States team for the 2005 Walker Cup, where he contributed to the team's victory. Anthony Kim's path to professional golf was clear. He was dominating college golf, and there was no question he was going to turn professional. And that's when he made a big decision. He subscribed to Golf Champs, something you should do as well. No. All jokes aside, after just 3 years and 3 All-American seasons, Kim had enough of college and felt like it was time for the PGA Tour. You see, golf is such a streaky game that you have to turn professional when your game is showing it's good enough. We've seen other players like Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas do this. For Kim, playing another year of college golf meant risking an opportunity to do what he had been preparing for his entire life. At just 21 years old, Anthony Kim entered PGA Tour qualifying school in the fall of 2006 and finished tied for 13th in the final stage, earning him his 2007 PGA Tour card. His performance at Q School set the stage for a rapid road to success on the PGA Tour. In just his first full season, he recorded multiple top 10 finishes, including a tie for second at the Wachovia Championship. By the end of the year, he had secured over $1.5 million in earnings, cementing his status as one of the brightest young stars in the game. Due to this, he was able to keep his tour card, and with a year of professional golf under his belt and the idea of what it takes to succeed, 2008 was going to be a breakthrough year for Kim. First, he claimed his first PGA Tour victory at the Wachovia Championship, winning by 5 strokes, which started to make some heads turn. Then, just 2 months later, he captured yet another PGA Tour victory at the AT&T National, where he shot 65 in the final round to get the win. And don't forget, Kim was just 22 years old at this time, absolutely dominating the PGA Tour. In fact, he was the youngest American since Tiger Woods to win twice on the PGA Tour in a single season, and there was no slowing him down. At the end of 2008, Kim was in 6th place in the FedEx Cup standings and even got to compete with the Ryder Cup team, where he went 2-1-1. By 2009, it was clear that Anthony Kim had all the tools to become a major champion. It wasn't a matter of if, but instead when. His explosive power off the tee, precision with his irons, and fearless putting stroke made him a threat at any course. He loved to compete and wasn't afraid of competition. In the 2009 Masters tournament, he carded a record-setting 11 birdies in a single round. It wasn't enough to win, but everyone started talking about Kim being a strong contender in any major championship. Golf legends and analysts alike predicted Kim would be a multi-major winner. A golf writer, Ron Sirac, even said he would have loved to see him in a Ryder Cup match with Seve Ballesteros. He had the charisma, the swagger, and most importantly, the game to dominate the sport for years to come. By the time 2010 rolled around, Kim had already amassed 3 PGA Tour wins, including the Houston Open and numerous top 10 finishes, but the cracks were beginning to show. Kim withdrew from several events due to thumb and wrist injuries. In fact, he even had to have surgery that year, which put him on the sidelines for the second part of 2010. In 2011, Kim struggled to make his way back to the top. His stats dipped and his power wasn't quite what it once was. Kim remained a fan favorite thanks to his personality and playing style, but fan favorites don't always win tournaments. The 2012 season proved to be Kim's last real effort to compete at the highest level. He made headlines early in the year with a T13 finish at the Masters, showing he could still compete with the big names in the game, but his body continued to betray him. This time, it was a ruptured Achilles tendon that forced him to withdraw from competition. That Achilles injury would be the final blow, effectively ending Kim's PGA Tour career. By the time Kim disappeared from the professional golf scene, he had already solidified himself as one of the most captivating players of his era. Fans and analysts alike struggled to comprehend how a player so young, talented, and promising could vanish so suddenly. His raw ability, his fearless attitude, and his unforgettable Ryder Cup performances all left everyone wondering how and why. However, the most driving question of the time was, when would Anthony Kim return? Turns out it was going to be a while. When Anthony Kim disappeared, he completely excused himself from the world of golf. He didn't do interviews, he didn't play in charity events, and he was certainly not announcing a comeback or a return to the tour. Kim describes those years away from the game as isolating. He became a recluse and didn't leave the house. He watched TV, ate food, gained weight, and spent time with his pets. At one point, he had 6 dogs and 2 monkeys living in his house. The problem was, Kim's injuries were a much bigger setback in life than he could have ever predicted. He had procedures on his shoulder, hand, and even a spinal fusion. With more surgeries than he could count, he was struggling both mentally and physically. And as we've seen with other professional athletes who make it to the top and then fall, physical injuries can also lead to addictions. And Kim started to struggle and question his own self-worth. As he describes it, he fell into a very dark place. Kim admits to struggling with significant mental health challenges during this time in his life. He says that one of the major contributing factors to his health troubles was being surrounded by people he called scam artists and snakes. When you're younger than 25 and making your way to being the best golfer in the entire world, it can be hard to distinguish the good people from the bad. And if you're wondering why Kim didn't turn to golf when he was going through this difficult time in his life, you'll be shocked at the reason why he didn't. Kim admits that he didn't really ever love golf. He was good at it, he could win, but he didn't love the sport. It had too many pressures, emotions, and stress factors tied to it. This admission that he did not love the game made people even more skeptical about his real reason for leaving the world of golf. In a 2014 Sports Illustrated article, just 2 years after Kim had disappeared from the world of golf, journalist Alan Shipnuck reported that Kim held an insurance policy valued between $10 million and $20 million. Many professional athletes purchase these policies to protect themselves should they run into an injury or illness. After all, they needed their bodies to compete, live, and support their families, and sources close to Kim said that his insurance policy would become void if he even made a single swing on the PGA Tour. Some people started wondering if Kim took the money and ran instead of sticking it out on the PGA Tour and working his way to financial greatness. Kim never released the exact details or amounts of his insurance settlement, but it was a significant amount of money for him to rely on and live off of. While the insurance settlement gave Kim financial support during his absence, he certainly had severe physical ailments and injuries that had financial implications for his PGA Tour career and future. So Kim was staying off the golf course, and while it seemed like it would stay this way forever, a miracle then happened, and this time it was the biggest change of his life. In 2022, Anthony Kim became a father, and it changed everything about how Kim was thinking and where he stood in his life. Kim's daughter Isabella was born prematurely and had significant challenges as a newborn, which meant that these issues forced Kim to reevaluate his life and priorities. He says he had a new sense of purpose and self-worth. He knew he not only had to take care of his daughter, but also to be a role model for her. Luckily, Isabella is a resilient kid who fought hard through her struggles and inspired her father. Kim could now stop focusing on the issues that had previously impacted his life and career, and he started surrounding himself with the best people. People who were good to his family, people who inspired him, and those who allowed him to focus on his well-being. Kim's mother and his wife Emily were very supportive of him in his recovery. He says he owes so much to them. So now what? Kim was living a healthier life, embracing fatherhood and getting rid of toxic relationships, but there was something that was still missing from his life, and it was the final piece to his puzzle. After 12 very long years, Kim decided to return to golf, the sport he stepped away from more than a decade prior. The game that gave him everything and then took it away just as fast as it happened was about to become a strong presence in Kim's life yet again. His decision to return to professional golf shocked the sporting world. After more than a decade of silence, the player who once electrified crowds and dominated tournaments was stepping back onto the course. His return wasn't just about playing for money either. He was here to prove himself and that he still has what it takes to compete at a very high level. However, if you were thinking that Kim took the long hard road and went back to Q school like he did at the age of 21, think again. True to Kim's story, this comeback was anything but ordinary. In early 2024, Kim received a call from Live Golf CEO Greg Norman. Norman, who had been following Kim's career and his years away from the game, invited Kim to join the Live Golf League. No qualifying need, just an automatic exemption for the rest of the 2024 Live Tour golf season. Kim accepted. There is quite a bit of controversy surrounding the Live Tour and the players who choose to accept invitations. Once you play in a Live event, you can no longer play on the PGA Tour, so it's a big step and a big decision. Former professional golfer turned golf announcer Brandel Chambly accused Anthony Kim of being bought and not caring about golf, but instead the money. But Kim simply said he was doing the best he could for his family. For Kim, this was a deeply personal return to the game. He credits his wife, Emily, for helping him rediscover his love for the game. "My wife wanted to learn golf, and I told her it's not what she wants to do. It's too frustrating," Kim said. But watching her persistence and spending more time on the course got me interested in playing again. In his first competitive appearance in over a decade, Kim teed it up at the Live Golf event. He played in the Live Golf Jeddah event on March the 1st at the Royal Greens Golf and Country Club in Saudi Arabia. This was his first professional appearance since the Wells Fargo 2012 championship. Kim's first tournament was a mix of moments of brilliance and a bit of rust that needed to shake off. He decided to take things day by day and focus on the process. There's no way his game would be the same as it was when he left it. Yet, despite everything he has been through, Kim believed he could succeed. His 2024 season on the Live Tour was a mix of ups and downs. He had some low rounds like a 65 on the final day at the Greenbrier, but his top finish was tied for 36th. In the end, he had one of the worst finishing spots on the Live Tour for 2024. So to say that Anthony Kim is back and better than ever may be a stretch. He has a long way to go before we see the type of dominance and perseverance he once had on the PGA Tour. But luckily, he now has a chance to do it. It looks like he will earn a spot on the Live Tour yet again in 2025. This time, just like we saw in 2008, he will have a year of professional golf back under his belt, and he will be ready to compete without fear or restrictions. One thing we can say without a doubt is that Anthony Kim has reappeared, and it's something that will inspire any golfer. But did you know that there was also a golfer who destroyed everyone despite being labeled as the dumbest player of all time? To find out more about that, click the video on screen right now.